Nawaz Sharif, once again, not just saying, I want to sit down with Prime Minister Modi. I wish Prime Minister Modi had come. He used the words, it would have been a great thing, it would have been wonderful. What we do not know is if the Pakistani security establishment stands with him. This question even came up after Kargil. But the same Nawaz Sharif went on record this year to say that to follow the Lahore Declaration with Kargil was a violation of the agreement. It was Pakistan's fault. And today he repeated that to me and he said, I called it a betrayal and I'm not scared of speaking my mind. Now, I know we've seen these ups and downs, these seeming contradictions out of Pakistan. And as a general, as a soldier, you must be cynical. What do you make of Mr. Sharif's comments? I'll play out a summary of what he said to me in a moment. And also, what do you make of the decision to send Jaishankar to Pakistan?
Are you playing out something?
I'll play it after you speak, sir. Aap boliye
Okay.
pehle.
Okay. Thank you, Barkha. Firstly, I must say that whatever Mr. Nawaz Sharif has said to you is a welcome progress, is a welcome thing. And but personally, if you ask me, it's become more difficult now lately to improve the relationship, uh, despite what some of the political leaders in Pakistan may be wanting to have it. And although history should not be spoken again and again, but one, I would say, as far as we in India are concerned, people say once bitten, twice shy. In our case, it has been four bitten, eight times shy, and I don't think these Indians can forget that. Then the other two obstacles which have come: Pakistan wanting to us to do away with bring in 370, Article 370 back, and while we are asking Pakistan to stop terrorism, which has been going on for so many years, and both things have now become more difficult, if I can say that. As far as terrorism is concerned, it has never been in the control of the civil political leadership. It has always been in the control of the Pakistan army, and it has over the years it has become their vested interest. And as you know, it has been continuing. Although we had peaceful elections in J&K, but the fact is, just before that, we had a number of incidents. And I cannot forget what General Aziz Khan had told his boss when during the Kargil war. He says, "Ye tuti hamare haath mein hai, and whenever we want, we can regulate it." But that is the situation as far as terrorism is concerned. I don't think people in India will forget it. The other thing is that India, over the years now, 6, 7 years, it has seen that despite the pinpricks from Pakistan, we can continue to make progress. So, Pakistan for us has now gone into background. It has not become such an important thing. We have more security point of view. We have more important things on the northern borders. And similarly, the position that we have now acquired because of the democracy, economic progress that we have had, and all these issues have now put Pakistan into background as far as our relationship is concerned. And we are now more interested in global and regional relationship, and we are going ahead with that. And the last thing I would say is that I see no change as far as civil military relations in Pakistan are concerned. All said and done, fact is that the Pakistan army does dominate the politics as far as India is concerned in Pakistan. So I think over the years it has become more difficult now, and while one would welcome better relations, but I find it is not going to happen soon.
If I may, before I go to Aisha, ask you why you think Jay Shankar, somebody of Jay Shankar's stature, is then going. I mean, do you find it just, procedural in the way that Mr. Bilawal Bhutto, when he was foreign minister, came to India, and therefore Mr. Jay Shankar is going as foreign minister? Or do you think that while it's, I will never use a word like thaw, there's nothing that's thawed, but there's something going on here that, we don't necessarily fully understand?
Barkha, firstly, let's face it that SCO is important for us. for so many reasons I can think. So there was no question of missing out on SCO. And I think the government took the right decision considering our interest in SCO and the kind of work that the SCO has been doing over the years now, last 24 years or so, 23 years or so. And it is important for us to remain an active member of SCO. Now, as far as Minister Jaishankar's, I think he's speaking the truth. You know,
Hmm.
uh, he is more interested. In fact, I would say the Indian government is more interested in SCO and not interested at this time as far as Pakistan relations with Pakistan is concerned. And that is the truth that he has spoken.
Right. Let me bring in Dr. Aisha Siddiqa before I come to Ambassador Gurjeet Singh. Aisha, the point is that Nawaz Sharif statements are positive, but does he have the, or let me say this carefully, is the security establishment with him? Or does he speak in a way his own mind? As Murtaza just said, he's a risk taker in a way that his brother, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, is not. He's taken a risk here. He has made these comments at a time when Pakistan clearly said there, neither country has asked for a bilateral. He has spoken about a conversation with Prime Minister Modi. He has, to that extent, not referred to the earlier government's position that Pakistan would not talk about talks till there was a stepping back on the 370 abrogation, which is clearly not happening. And he's done this in a conversation with me, an Indian journalist. I mean, none of these are small things in the context of the civil military tensions in Pakistan. How do you see these remarks, and how do you see Mr. Jaishankar coming to the SCO?
Well, firstly, Mr. Jaishankar is coming because it is a multilateral. And let's not forget that right before the SCO, he spoke at the UN General Assembly, in which he was pretty critical of Pakistan. So it's not that the mood has changed. He's coming for a multilateral. Secondly, Mr. Nawaz Sharif. Look, Mr. Nawaz Sharif, yes, he's always, let's be very clear. He's the man who did the Lahore Declaration, and he understands that it's important to improve relations with neighbors. But at this point in time, he's also a pragmatist. He's more than a risk taker, he's a pragmatist. I mean, he has, with great difficulty and with a lot of effort, established his daughter's government in Punjab. He's not about to wreck it. It's not about him, it's about his daughter's future. So the point I'm trying to make here is that he has said that for two reasons. One is that the security establishment wants him to signal, and this may not necessarily be a signal to India, but signal to the rest of the world that, look, here we are, ready to talk to India, and this is something which Pakistan's position has been in the last 1 year. We want to talk. It's India who doesn't want to talk. So I would see it in that very context, that he's saying it outright. I want to sit down with Mr. Modi. We want to take this conversation on. But as I see it, there is nothing. I mean, things are completely at a standstill. I mean, of course, there is terrorism, India's concern about terrorism. There's also Pakistan's concern about terrorism. When was it? I think in this very year, or maybe last year, Mr. Modi and different people in the Indian government have been talking about ghus ke mara. We entered and we hit them. And these are things which the Pakistani security establishment does not like. But what it wants to signal to the world, to its friends around, especially United States, Britain, which is investing a lot of money in different track twos between India and Pakistan, is that, look, we are keen to talk. It's India which is not budging, whatever the concern. So I would see it in that. I mean, it's a very careful, if he is a risk taker, Nawaz, it's a very cautious, careful risk that he has taken by making that, because he knows that. And the other thing is that, we all also have a political problem in Pakistan. And he doesn't want to kind of step ahead of himself by saying, look, I've done that. um, I'm inviting, and the establishment has to take it lying down. No, the establishment is not going to take it lying down. The establishment is calculating, okay, if India responds and says, okay, let's talk, we'll talk, then it's a benefit, because talking doesn't come with not giving something in return. So there will be a give and take, and
Hmm.
so the establishment is interested to
So, so,
see
so,
how
so, so,
what India is going to give.
so interestingly, you don't believe that he spoke in a way for himself. You believe he spoke um, in alignment with the establishment. Just on the Ghar Mein Ghus Ke Mara, that was not this year. It was from an election
Right.
campaign much earlier. But I also want to say it was in context of the response to a terror attack, and I think the Modi government has argued that it has drawn new red lines with Pakistan, for which, you see, any peace initiative with between India and Pakistan, or any two countries, needs public support. And therefore, my sense is, I agree with you that not much has changed. I think the UN speeches told us that both countries have stood attached to their respective positions. I think Mr. Jaishankar will be talking about terrorism, and conversely, Mr. Dar will be taking Pakistan's known position, which he's already said in his statements. But let me get Ambassador Gurjeet Singh. Ambassador Gurjeet Singh, General Malik said, and I tend to agree with him, that Mr. Jaishankar is speaking the truth when he says, I'm going to be a good member of the SCO. This is not more, not less for me. But many people say, why send someone as of the stature of Jaishankar? Somebody else could have gone, a junior minister could have gone. How do you see the decision? And how do you see Nawaz Sharif reaching out all of a sudden? Well, not all of a sudden. He's been making these comments actually over the last year. I should say that. Um, and he's been making some, he's been lauding India about, for example, India's moon mission while Pakistan is struggling. He has said Pakistan is to blame for Kargil. I mean, these are unusual comments for a senior Pakistani politician to make.
Thank you. So I think we are letting the location run away with the summit. It is HPO which is important, not Pakistan. But in India, we tend to get carried away. And I think it is not question of sending Dr. Jaishankar. This is the heads of government summit. And the main summit is the heads of state summit. The prime minister always goes to the head of state summit, though he skipped the last one in Kazakhstan. So this summit, India never attends at the level of Mr. Modi or any prime minister. It is always at the level of a minister. And since the agenda of the SCO is at a critical phase, we want to make sure we don't lose track of it. And therefore, who better than the foreign minister to shepherd the Indian delegation, which, by the way, is not the smallest in where the meeting is taking place. The Iranians are even smaller than the Indian delegation, and they are only in their first year of being in the SCO. In the SCO, India's main aim is anti-terror, and we are interested in the RATS, the Regional Anti-Terrorism Structure, which is located in Uzbekistan. That is India's main interest in SCO. And China and Pakistan keep trying to dilute the focus of RATS and the statement concerning terrorism. So India is the one which will always hold up and prevent that dilution with quiet support from the Central Asians. Now it is for the Central Asians to realize how much of a threat terror is. And I think everybody knows the reality. So therefore, I think we have to focus on SCO. Dr. Jaishankar is there for the SCO meeting. Pakistan is fortunate that they have this rotational opportunity to play their hand as a good diplomatic host. But I think more than that, there's nothing more to be read in it. You asked me about Mr. Nawaz Sharif. Obviously, a senior statesman, if Mr. L.K. Advani was to say that let's talk to Pakistan, how seriously would you take it? So we like to trust and verify, but as General Malik said, there is immense distrust. So the question of verification is far behind. Thank you.
Right. Thanks, Ambassador. I was going to go to Munizia, but she seems to have lost her connection. Let me get a quick word from Murtaza as well as General Malik, and then I want to just play out the main takeaways of Nawaz Sharif and what he said to me on record. But Murtaza, I think it's fair to wonder, given the internal turmoil about whether any civilian leader, let's not make this about Mr. Sharif, any civilian leader can move in any direction fundamentally without the Pakistan military. Now, I want your take, and again, not to make this about domestic Pakistan politics, but given the internal political turmoil at this point, even if there was, for example, talk about resuming trade or reinstating high commissioners in either country, uh, are things stable enough here politically for Indians to understand who might be driving the decision making?
Whatever the conditions be, and no matter who is in charge, whenever there is a mutual need for any normalization or de-escalation, Pakistan and India both have done that. Recently, if you go a couple of years back, when every day you would have crossfire on international boundary and ceasefire line, you saw something happened, and that daily crossfire ended. So you don't have to have uh, quote unquote fully empowered democratic government in Islamabad to make a deal. If there is any, yes.
Yeah.
So
sorry, that's an interesting point. That's an interesting point, that the ceasefire at the line of control. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, so I still believe that even today, if there is a mutual agreement for de-escalation and normalization, it can happen. Maybe if forget 370 and 35A, whatever India does, Pakistan has its position. But almost 4 years have passed. India has not even restored the statehood.
The statehood. Yes, but Murtaza Saab, I think India would argue that is for India to do on its own timelines. As election has just been concluded, an election which I covered, I must say, in which for the first time since I've been reporting on Jammu and Kashmir, not a single boycott call. Families of militants and terrorists have participated. The Jamaat-e-Islami put up 10 candidates. So it's we are dealing with a changed set of circumstances. But I do want to pick up your point about the line of control ceasefire, because I do think that's an important point. And Munizia, we keep losing you, so I hope you stay on. But General Malik, if you want to just briefly respond to that point, because I think that's an important point, that countries, even when everything seems to fail between them, the LOC ceasefire has been one of those things that seems to have found a way to have some stability.
Barkha, during Kargil war, or I would say after signing of Lahore Declaration, our own Prime Minister, once he asked me, he says, why don't we stop firing on the line of control? And my answer to him was that, look, as long as infiltration is going on and the infiltrators are being supported by the Pakistan army on their side of the line of control, I cannot ask people to stop firing. It is not possible, because they will have to continue. They will have to fire whenever there is an infiltration or when somebody from the other side is firing. So unfortunately, that has continued. And lately, as everybody knows, that we have adopted a harder position, not only firing along the line of control, but also going across, as you have seen both after Pulwama as well as after the
Uri.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is the situation. As long as there is infiltration going on from the other side, and they are being supported by the Pakistan army, that everybody knows, there can be no total ceasefire. There can be fluctuation as far as firing is concerned, the intensity of firing is concerned, but I don't see
Right.
that it can ever be fully stopped as long as there is infiltration or attempt to infiltrate is going on.
Munize, before we lose your network again, if you just want to come in on what your expectations are and what do you agree with Dr. Aisha Siddiqa that when Nawaz Sharif made those comments to me, it would have been kind of in alignment with with a larger strategy, or do you believe, like Murtaza suggested, that he stuck his neck out and took a chance?
Well, actually, I would agree with respectfully with neither of them because I
Mhm.
feel that I heard Murtaza Saab say that Nawaz Sharif no longer is very relevant to Pakistani politics. May I remind you that he still is the president of the PMLN, which is the ruling party at the moment. So he is the one who actually instructs the party or is the buck stops with him. And Shabazz Sharif is part of that party. So he remains very relevant, especially when it comes to electoral politics. But I do also believe that with Nawaz Sharif saying something like this has always been Nawaz Sharif's mantra when it comes to India. He has always wanted good relations with India, whether that's trade or whether that's people to people contact. And what we have seen time and again is not just with Mia Nawaz Sharif, but also with Benazir Bhutto, that whenever they have taken one step forward with India to try and resolve issues, to have resumption of diplomatic ties, to have trade, the military has always said no. They have always said that this is they've actually called Benazir Bhutto a national security risk when in the past her interior minister Itizaz Ehsan handed over lists to Rajiv
Mm.
Gandhi at the time when he came to Pakistan. So they have paid a price and a heavy price when they have wanted to make overtures to India. Even with the Mia
Right.
Nawaz Sharif, I do believe that the real point of contention when it began with the army was that he insisted that there should be an FIR registered in one of the terror attacks in India. And at that time, because he insisted on it, he got into a controversy with the army. So there's a long history of civilian political leaders wanting to make peace overtures with India and that being resisted by the Pakistan army.